So, warmly welcome to all of you with this important training session. We have three important topics like CSC, confined space entry, standby man, and SCBA. How to use it, and what are the dynamics as per the safety standards of a specialist requirement. So, can you just mute your mic so we can avoid any discussion?
Maybe nature.
Okay, please. Okay. So, before we move on, I always start with the question, why accidents are still happening? And this question doesn't belong to the YouTube knowledge or Google knowledge or the bookish knowledge. This question directly belongs to your experience or your perceptions or your opinion. Why accidents are still happening? As per your understanding, what are the root causes, the real root causes? And you can unmute your mic and give answer, whatever you are thinking. Why accidents are still happening? Yeah, you can unmute your mic. Yes, Irshad sir, you want to say something?
Due to uh, proper manners of working,
Okay.
maybe they are not due to proper, like they are not making proper regulations.
Okay.
So that's why maybe unsafe, like accident or something will happen. That was the most reason.
Okay. Anything else coming in your mind?
Sir, I can think of a very basic reason. I think that we humans actually are supposed to work together in a coordinated environment. So once, let's say, one person does not comply with the regulations or the stipulations of any particular activity, it can cause an accident. I mean, everybody has to be on the same page for an activity to be done. So we as humans need to coordinate. If we don't coordinate, accidents happen.
Absolutely right, mashallah. So coordination and lack of coordination, lack of teamwork. That's what you
Yes.
realize is causing
Yes.
accidents. And the outcome and the results of such kind of accidents or incidents is really terrible, for the business, for the people, for the assets, for the environment even. And recently, I hope you guys could be following up, one of the company, the big name in construction. I don't want to name the name because we have some sort of confidentiality agreements also, but I'm sure everybody knows this Makkah incident, this tower crane. So after 8 years, 20 million real fine is punched to the company, and also the top leadership is all went to the jail without, they can't appeal. It's non-bailable, everything, So 3 years. So consequences are really terrible if we ignore safety regulations or any sort of safety rules or procedures or policies we have. And once we are serving to some mega brand like Saudi Aramco or Royal Commission or Neom the Line City or Red Sea Global, all the projects under 2030 vision of Saudi Arabia definitely would have a terrible consequences if we violate their regulations. And something happened. Sometimes we are lucky enough, we think, oh, for the last several years, nothing has happened. And with this assumption, God forbid, we sometimes become careless. And this is the time where the coordination and teamwork will go down. People will think, oh, never ever something happened. So it's all safe. No need of gas testing, no need of permit system to be followed. So plenty of, I completely agree with your comment, mashallah. Anyone else, please, why accidents are still happening? Thank you very much for your input. We have a Nizamuddin and Ayub Khan also. Can you guys also add value with your experience? What is still in your mind? You can share with us in Urdu, Hindi, English. No problem with that. I hope everybody can understand you. Yes, please. Mr. Ayub. Hello. This online session.
Hello.
Yeah,
Yes,
please, Ayub sir, you're on the way.
yes,
Please
sir.
go ahead.
Yes, yes. Sir. So I want to say that accident happens because sometimes we don't work with presence of mind, and sometimes due to lack of PPEs, accident also happens, sir. Because we're not wearing the required PPE at that site or spot. So accident happens, and sometimes we see but not follow the safety rules. That's why accident happens.
True. But you gave me a very much important word called lack of focus.
Yes, sir.
This lack of focus means if your duty is 8 hours, let's take an example of live example of a crane operator. He is not operating 8 hours crane every day, right? Might be operating crane for 2 hours or 3 hours as per the nature of the project for rigging and lifting and all that. But I always request, the moment that crane
Pretty much.
operator is sitting on a driving seat, only for that particular time he must be fully focused. The rest of the time, definitely he'll be enjoying here and there. But the moment he's working exactly on the project, he should not let his focus go here and there. And on the other side, we can take an example of driving, the terrible culture sometimes we observe that while driving, we have phone calls, we have WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, we are drinking tea, we are eating food, we are talking to our, family members sometimes sitting with us. So, yes, distraction, lack of focus means something is distracting your focus. And those distractions, even for a second, can destroy horribly. And that's why still a lot of incidents and accidents are happening. And I completely agree with you. Lack of focus is another, a very horrible reason of accidents. And yes, why we don't focus? Because we damn care about safety regulations, rules, and responsibilities or something like that. That's why we don't focus. Or we don't have some punching bag like a warning or maybe some penalty clauses from the customer side. Or sometimes we misuse the flexibility of our customer. And sometimes if client is very strict and our leadership is a little bit flexible, still we misuse and we go with plenty of shortcuts actually. So this shortcut is another, like out of my 3000 plus training sessions, 95% audience, they mentioned shortcut is the number one cause. That's why people still facing accidents. And if we take example of Saudi Aramco for the last 85 years, as per their analysis, they clearly mention it's a human nature. And also people love to take shortcuts just to save time to go home as quick as possible. And also the evaluated people love to take shortcuts because they want to keep their boss happy. Even with defective tools or if the right set of PPs even are not available, still they're gonna say, boss, you don't worry, I'll manage this project. So basically, taking such shortcuts and disturbing your focus, instead of being safe, you are focusing no need to be safe. That's something entirely. To be very honest, the consequences are horrible. And I always mention you are the only hero for your family. No contingency plan. We the business community, we always have a contingency plan almost for everything. Even one general manager is leaving the company, we have another general manager already on the way. We have like one supplier or contractor with us, and still backup as a contingency plan. Still, we have a lot of other contractors. So we have contingency plan for everything. Only contingency is missing that we don't have contingency plan for our family. We are the only heroes for our family. So what is the logic says? My safety, my responsibility, and it is important. My safety is important for me first of all, rather than relying on safety department. That every day safety officer should come and he must tell me where is your hard hat, where are your gloves, why you didn't wear your safety shoes, why your area is not neat and clean, why you are not following safety regulations. you know every time, how many times that gentleman can come and can he watch you for 12 hours? So that is why the self-realization, this is the era where everybody have to understand. Either I'm a T-boy, welder, crane operator, general manager, operation manager, project manager, whoever, every brick have a value. So they have to realize that my safety, my responsibility. And to be very honest, this is how we develop a safety culture. And culture takes time, guys. Let's agree with that. It takes time. Like Saudi Arabia is changing the culture of their country, right? And they created a 2030 vision. That means almost 10, 12 years they need to establish a new culture or to change the culture with new dynamics. So same way, think about your company. Sometimes I suffer to change my son also, to my daughter also, because everyone is different. In your company might be different nationalities are working together, right? And everyone is unique, unique brain, educational, the culture, the way they think. Sometimes they don't like your face, but they don't like you as a safety officer. Sometimes they don't want anybody to dictate them, because they all are human, right? We all are human. We have emotions, and we sometimes don't love to change, because change resistance is highly evaluated globally. The moment you want to bring some positive changes within your company, you start facing resistance. If you bring bad things, maybe very less resistance. But if you really want to bring some value addition or value added kind of additions in your company, then everybody will start resisting you. So yes, it's a challenge, guys. And overall, mashallah, the way you highlighted all points are very solid. That is why I always talk to the experience. And we must learn from our experiences. Information and knowledge is already there. It's already in your mobile, on internet, on YouTube, everywhere you can get information and knowledge. But the experience is all here. Experience is all here. That is why I always try to talk to the experience. And experience is unbeatable because you learn from your experience and you know this is the way to ensure better safety in a company, within your department even, rather than relying on always on safety department to educate you, to come and monitor you and issue you the warning letters, punch heavy fines on your salary slips every month just to make you safe, right? While it's your safety, your necessity. Do you agree your safety is your necessity? Do you agree with that? Your safety, your necessity.
Well, absolutely, sir. Our own safety as well, and as well as by ensuring our own safety, we also can ensure the safety of others, the people
Okay,
around us. So,
excellent, excellent. But if you care about yourself, then you can start thinking to care about others. If you are happy, then you can try to keep somebody else happy, right? But yes, ultimate as a human, on ethical ground, our major responsibility is to ensure our safety and safety of others. And others, to be very honest, I always mention, like you guys, we all live 11 months all together, working together, living together, enjoying our all moments, 11 months. And 1 month we are going back to our country to enjoy some time with our family, right? But the logic and the data says that you are the real family. Like living 11 months together, working together, fighting to each other sometime, in a different perspective. So 1 month only we are going back to our country to live with our family. So that is another point to be realized, that we are a real family and we must take care of each other. Like we give care to our kids, our brothers and sisters, same way that feeling should also be established. And this is how we motivate people to convince them, please, guys, oil and gas industry already is a red zone. So we all have to play a role as a coordinated, well coordinated team, and that effort should be applaud also, because sometimes rewarding environment is missing, and that's why people don't want to coordinate, because what they believe is no reward. But biggest reward is your safety. By the way, you will be safe, like if you follow safety regulations, at least within your area you will be the role model, right? And then a time will come, everybody will realize that you are the best person in the company, you deserve better perks and package of salary, whatever. But anyway, thank you very much for your great contribution. And now we are in position to discuss our main topic. Okay. Any one of you have any understanding what is a confined space? What is confined space? You can unmute and speak up, please. Any one of you, as per your understanding.
So when we don't get enough space for work, that mean that if we have very small space for work, like some excavation or hole we are going into some hole or some tunnel where we don't get enough space or proper oxygen, that space is known as confined space.
Mhm. Okay. Any other comment, please? Thank you very much, mashallah. So a place which is not designed for, yeah, Ishasa, please go ahead.
In confined space, we have limited entries and exit we have in confined spaces. And also there is uh, we have limited of equipments we have using, and also with some particular features like or something,
Mhm.
because that I was here from confined spaces.
Okay.
The most probably we have some limitations there in confined spaces.
Mhm. So a place which is not designed for human occupancy,
Yes, exactly. Design.
we can't eat there, we can't drink, we can't sleep. So it's only purpose built, right? And yes, you are absolutely right. Have limited exit entry now. Now we truly need to think what examples are coming in our mind. I mean, if you guys can explain, any examples at your project site or within your company. Yes, any examples are coming in your mind? Confined space examples?
So
Yeah.
drainage can be one example of that.
Mhm. Okay.
Drainage pipes, ventilation ducts, things like that, where a normal person cannot move freely and operate with equipment. So that ventilation, drainage pipes, and things like that.
Perfect. Perfect, Mashallah. So that means a horrible place. A place
Yeah.
where a lot of safety and health hazards are there, where we truly have to be careful, and without PTW system, we should not even dare to approach that particular places, right? Okay, brilliant. Brilliant. So that's what you mentioned, mashallah. It's a large enough to allow workers to enter and perform work, has limited or restricted means of entry or exit, like you mentioned, mashallah. Not designed for human occupancy. So have plenty of hazardous atmosphere hazards and including safety and health hazards. Perfectly. Now, what is confined space entry? Entry of any part of the body. That's we need to realize. It's not like that only my hand will go inside and I don't need permit. or my leg is only go inside and I don't need permit. No excuses, right? So entry of any part of the body into a confined space will be considered confined space entry, and also includes all periods of time that the confined spaces occupied. And here comes the gentleman we call standby man. You know, the standby man, without standby man, we don't work within confined space. And the standby man is the one who will make sure, who is going inside, what is the batch number, time in, time out, what exactly job is going to perform, even why he wants to go inside. Is it really relevant to the project, or somebody, a person who is irrelevant? So the standby man is the gentleman who will ensure two-way communication also with the entrant, and in case of emergency, standby man must be informed by the entrants, and the standby man is the one to communicate with other authorities also if any emergency situation arise, not only internally, even externally. Because internally he can ask the entrance if anything going bad here and there. But outside, he is the one informing, like any sandstorm is there, any heavy rains, God forbid, or any rigging and lifting activity is going on which can disturb, or any H2S coming from other sides, God forbid. So he is the one can inform immediately to the entrance. So, and this CSC log sheet in shape of, I will show that format also. How the standby man have to fill that CSC log sheet. And the standby man means no other responsibilities, only standby man. So he will not perform any other job. He will not leave the entry point without providing a backup. Even that backup need to be agreed between permit issuers and receivers. So I hope it will help just to understand. These are some of the examples like you mentioned, mashallah. The columns and vessels, storage tanks, okay, pipeline, wall boxes, manholes, ventilation ducts, boilers, steam generators, different examples are there, and sewers or barge compartments, excavation deeper than 1.2 meter or 4 feet. So that would also be considered a confined space. So without understanding, I always mention you must have the layout of your site, and at that layout, highlight all the restricted areas with red color. Highlight all the restricted areas, red zone areas, prohibited areas, in other words, with red color, and make some rules for the visitors, for all the stakeholders. If contractors are going to approach your confined spaces, what are the rules? How they can get permission to be there for inspection, for maintenance project, for any sort of activity they want to perform into that area. But without your permission, and that permission means there must be a PTW system well implemented, right? Okay. So these are some of the examples. Now, any management, any management system in the world must have a program. Like, if we talk about confined space entry management system, then there must be a program actually. And that program, I call it master plan also, like CSC master plan, like where we will definitely discuss plenty of areas, plenty of items proactively in advance to form our master plan before we allow anyone to go into those areas to work. Like I mentioned, any sort of project. My question is what we can discuss or what we can think to consider within that program and to mention even within the program as per your understanding. I'm talking to your experience. Yes, please. Hello. You can unmute your mic. Within CSC program, what elements are coming in your mind? Oh, within that program, these are the areas we have to think proactively in advance. Like in the world, we have two type of approaches: proactive approach, reactive approach. Reactive approach means we will think once the accident will be happened, God forbid. And proactive approaches, before the accident happens, we are thinking, we are preparing, we are establishing, developing programs, plans, all these things. My question is, within that program, if we talk about confined space entry, what elements we have to consider as per your experience, whatever is coming in your mind. Then we'll see what Saudi Aramco is saying. Sorry, I'll not let you sleep, guys. You have to be interactive. It's the greatest challenge in online training session. Yes,
I think it depends on the
please.
activity. Depends on the activity that we are going to, like, which confined space we are dealing with. If it's some sort of ventilation, or a gas storage tank or something where there's a possibility of a gas leak.
Yes, please. Yes, please go ahead. Your voice is little bit distorted. I don't know why that distortion is there. Yes, Ayub sir or anyone else? Go ahead, please. What things we have to consider within this program? Because ultimately we don't want to see any accident or injuries or near misses. That is why we are programming and preparing the master plan. Yes, Ayub sir. Irshad sir.
Sorry, sir.
Anyone else? Please add value with your experience. Okay, guys, just to save time, let me just move on and mention what exactly in the program we have to consider. Yes, Irshad sir.
There is most chances for toxic gases in confined spaces and flammable gases.
Okay.
Because maybe more
That means hazardous
hazardous.
identification is important and must be considered in the program. That's what you mean.
Hello.
Yes, Irshad sir.
So what I find is there is most chances of flammable gases and toxic gases, maybe which cause hazardous, suppose breathing problem, maybe like that.
Okay. So it's important to have a program, like
Yes.
how the competent guys have to be hired, what training or competencies are required, and most importantly, is it a local program with the proper department who's responsible to establish it, and what exactly they will consider like hazard identification and control in advance they will plan within the program. Okay, so most importantly, in advance on the drawing, like I mentioned, you have to identify all the confined spaces and identify hazards, like you mentioned, that all the toxic gases, safety or health hazards proactively have to be identified, and then developing confined space entry plans accordingly, and training and qualification requirement, and most importantly, the rescue procedures. We don't work in a confined space until we have rescue team standby available, and that's most of the time client is responsible to keep that team proactively, because since we are working on their territory, like if you go to Saudi Aramco, they have their ambulance, they have their rescue team, and yes, contractor must also have their own set of rescue team members. There is no harm to have them, but your emergency response plan and Aramco's emergency response plan must be correlated. It's not like a Aramco plan is going left side and your plan is going right side. You get my point? So it must be correlated. It shouldn't be copy paste on. Okay, now confined space entry permits, like I mentioned earlier, the permit system is critically important. So within confined spaces of Saudi Aramco, without permit, no one can approach to the confined space. And there are most importantly 4 types of permits. Like we have CSE permit, cold, this confined space entry permit, and we have hot work, cold work, and EULB, equipment opening line break permit. That means a release permit. The previous old name of that permit is the release permit, or EULB, equipment opening line break. So these 4 permits must be, must be respected actually the moment we are going to work on any site of Saudi Aramco. And Aramco is very strict on PTW system. That is why they have certain requirement that there must be a certified or Aramco approved qualified WPR, and the issuer will also be from Aramco side most of the time. And then the standby man, the fire watch, and the gentleman like CSC supervisor or any entrant, including welder, whatever the job somebody is going to perform, they must also be approved by Saudi Aramco system or at least third party certified. Now, who is responsible for what? For the complete CSC program, the number one is issuers and receivers, and they are the one going to identify which permits are required, and they are responsible for JSI. We call it Joint Site Inspection. They are the one going to identify the hazards and precautions and mentioning on the permit forms and making sure proactively that all the hazards are identified and controls and precautions are well in place, and complete the hazard analysis checklist. Hazard analysis checklist is made part of the permit forms. Might be I will share, if you share your WhatsApp number, I can share all the permit forms and maybe this presentation also with all of you. Okay. So anytime in future, you can refresh your knowledge. Attach additional forms to the permit if required. Now, what else responsibilities are there for the management? So before management can do nothing until issuer and receiver give the complete data to the management. And then management is the one preparing CSC program, confined space entry program. And they are the one going to review also the CSC plans, identify training and qualifications, mandate training. Without training, hard to implement any policies or procedures or whatever system you are going to put in place. Then these trainings, most importantly, must be delivered effectively as per the plan and restrict confined space entry only to the trained personnel. That means untrained or the person who is not qualified must not dare to enter into confined space. That is why sometimes they reject. They don't accept blindly to anyone else, just to go into the confined space. So guys, we'll take a 5 minutes break. With the same link, you can rejoin. Okay. Thank you very much. Right after 5 minutes.